I imagine this is a video that the bag of holding has been waiting for a while.
Right, so if you haven't seen our bull case on Archer Aviation, make sure to check that out. One thing I want to disclose before you start this video is both myself and Reese are really big Archer Aviation bulls. However, it's for an informed decision, you really need to look at both case scenario. So today, we're looking at the bear case and some of our concerns when it comes to Archer going forward. So Reese, have you anything to say?
I imagine this is a video that the bag of holding has been waiting for a while. And yeah, just to clarify, we are big bulls on this, but we all need to see the bear case as well as the bull case, so we don't get carried away with ourselves. And yeah, with Archer Aviation, there are the two main points that I think are surrounding it, and it's like applicable for the whole eVTOL market, is obviously the safety concerns, and that's why it's taken them so long to get through the certification process, because the margin for error is zero. And I just think that the adoption of these eVTOLs, once they come into the industry, because they're not being used at the moment, is going to take a little bit of time to build consumer trust. But it doesn't stop me from the bullish outlook that I have on it. It just makes me think that the time horizon will probably widen a lot because of it.
Like, the only thing I do feel like is, guys, I don't want to scare anyone, but when we look at the likes of what happened with Boeing, where there was freak accidents happening here and there, the margin for error, as Reese has said, is absolutely zero. And what scares me even more is it's not only in Archer's hands, it's in Joby's hands, it's in Lilium's hands, it's everyone. Like, no matter what, if something bad does happen to any of these, Archer Aviation not only will tank, but it could cease to exist because how early we are in this industry. And I think that brings me on to the next point. This industry is so early. We're only just getting started. But if we just can't get the likes of the certification over the line, if there is a significant delay in the FAA actually awarding this, like we have seen many helicopter incidents recently coming in the US. So will that make the FAA more, I don't know, stringent on
their rules and regulations? Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all, because obviously they're going to be the governing body whose head will roll if that does happen, because everyone's expecting them to have done their due diligence and they've signed off on these aircraft saying that they are safe to fly. I'm hoping that at the moment that's not going to be the case, because we have heard from Adam and Ben saying that they're working with the FAA and they're coming together and they're collaborating in order to get this across the line. So that's what my hopes is in terms of the regulations from going forward.
Then another bare thought I had is these aircraft we can project cost about, is it 1.5 million to produce? Now, they're saying they're going to be the price of the likes of a yellow taxi in New York or a black cab in London. Now, my first thought on that is, okay, the public will perceive this as good. However, to pay back 1.5 million is a lot harder than paying back a 10K car that you just bought from your granddad. So what are you thinking?
Well, about that, to be honest, what I kind of inferred from the call with Adam Goldstein, where they're going to Abu Dhabi and they're selling the aircrafts and they're letting them build the infrastructure for them. So I don't know, is the model going to be, so for the consumer, they're only paying the price of a taxi, but is it the governments that they want to be working with and different cities in America, let's say, where they would actually pay for the technology, and then that means that city has this cutting edge technology, making them basically like a super city, where they have these, I know everyone hates it, but flying cars and and air taxis, and it makes it seem like a city of the future, which
Yeah.
is, I think that's what a lot of the Middle East has at the moment, where they like to be 10 steps ahead of the rest of us. And I think that's why they're pushing so heavy in the Middle East at the moment, because they're willing to pay that output now.
And I do think it's good in the Middle East. They are so like forward thinking and that. But another worry that it has with the likes of the US and that is, for me personally, and guys, I can't speak for everyone, but for me personally, is public perception. Now, we have people that are afraid of flying in commercial airliners. So
Yeah.
is the general public going to be as quick to adopt these? I know the guys in the comments are going to jump in and say, I'd fly on one. But guys, we're the bulls when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Not many people have even heard of this concept. So to step into one of these that are not only these flying cars, many people have never flown in a helicopter. I've never flown in a helicopter. And to be fair, I don't know what my thoughts would be about flying in a helicopter. I've never really thought about it. But then not only that, but it's also electric. And people seem to have more confidence in the combustion engine than they do electric.
100%.
Even though you can back it with safety and legislation, but you can't change the public perception until it's been there a long time. And my only fear is I'm not saying it's not going to be publicly adopted. However, it's how quickly we can be publicly adopted.
It's just stretching that timeline.
And do we have the runway to do that?
Yeah.
So my only fear would then be not only if the regulation gets delayed, but if we don't get publicly adopted really quickly, are we just going to see more and more cash raises? See the likes of us get diluted further and further. And guys, you're going to say, yeah, but just keep buying. But sometimes you can only buy so much before you see a return. And I don't want to be waiting 10 years to then, in 10 years' time, think it's going to take me another 20 years to ever get a return on investment.
Yeah.
But Reese, what are you thinking?
I think that's what's so important at the moment for them going into the Middle East and them adopting it, and you start to use it, because we need to get this out to the market. We need to see people that see that it's working, that the safety is as safe, or if not safer, than helicopters and planes. And basically, you just need that data where people are saying, well, they've flown 4,000 times and there's not been one accident. Whereas helicopters, there's been 20 accidents last year. And I think that's why it's so important that Joby and Archer get these aircrafts out and get them so that people are using them, so that we can see in here in the UK or in America that these aircrafts are working. They're working fine, and we can trust them. And to be honest, it will be a slow adoption, but there'll be a point where it just goes boom, and everyone will be like, oh, I want to get on it, especially if it becomes to where it's affordable and you're paying £30. Who would not want to go on a, like, hypothetically, like a helicopter ride and pay 30 quid, the same as a taxi, and then your journey's gone from an hour and a half down to 35 minutes? Like, it's a no-brainer, but we need to get to the stage where everyone's confident in the technology and believes in it. And I do think that these Dubai and Abu Dhabi are fundamental, and I can see why both companies have done it.
Yeah. And, like, guys, that's one thing I want to ask you yourselves. Would you be confident in flying in one of these midnight aircraft or the S4? I don't really mind which one you pick, but let me know which one you'd be more comfortable flying with. Or would you have a slight hesitation? Take the bull case out of your head and just think, as the consumer, would you be comfortable stepping in one of these aircraft and fly in 10 minutes with it being completely electrified? Guys, I want to disclose, me and Reese are not engineers, and aeronautical engineers could turn around and say to me, yeah, it is so much safer. But until I've actually flown on one,
or seen the track record,
it's so difficult to actually put into the mind of the everyday person. Like, could you imagine your 60-year-old auntie jumping on one of these and bringing her shopping home?
No,
and that's the only thing that worries me. Are we going to get a return on investment as quick as we think, or will it take the next generation who have grown up seeing these flying cars, and then they will be comfortable jumping into it? Because you have to be a bit of a adrenaline seeker to want to get on one of these first of all. I know going forward they want them to be everyday use. However, I just think the fear of flying is a thing. Like, so many people are so afraid of flying.
Yeah. The one thing that I would say with Archer is that I believe in Adam Goldstein's PR now, that he would get the right celebrity endorsement. And once you got, I don't know, let's say Kim Kardashian, a Jake Paul, one of these major celebrities which are able to influence millions of people, the Hustle Brothers, Morgan Freeman, that are able to influence thousands, if not millions of people.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, well, I've been on this and this was so good. Look at this. They do a YouTube video. They do an Instagram post. They do a TikTok. That all of a sudden, bang, you'll get your return on investment and people start believing in the product. They believe that it's safe. Like, he wouldn't have showed me that unless it was safe. And I can see that's how it's going. Whereas for Joby, they're not as quick and they don't seem to be as streetwise as Archer. So I don't know, but obviously it would work in tandem that if they start believing in Archer, it's like if Uber does an advert, I imagine it doesn't really affect Lyft in terms of it. Probably people would still use it, wouldn't they? But yeah, I think that's
like, there was two things you said there that I really want to dive into. The first one is we're nowhere near close to 1 million subscribers. So guys, to help us get there, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But on the second note, it's about Joby Aviation. And guys, if you want to see a bull case from Joby Aviation, make sure to check this video out next.